Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Matt Price. Welcome back for another drum lesson. Today we're looking at Adam Deitch from the band Lettuce and the song Nyack from their Live in Tokyo album back in the day. Let's check it out. So this is a really fast funk tune. The full tempo is 150 beats per minute, which is like borderline on the drum and bass tempos. And he's doing a lot of stuff with the left hand and the kick drum. The ride is basically keeping a quarter note through the whole thing, and the left foot plays a hi-hat. So full disclosure, I am not able to play the groove at the full tempo with the hi-hat playing eighth notes. It's too fast for my left foot right now. I kind of come back to practicing this beat periodically because it's a really good pattern for like left hand and kick drum, independence, funk stuff. So I came up with 4 different exercises that I want to show you today so we can break this thing down. Let's take a look at it. So basically what we have going on here is a 2-bar groove that has a little bit of variation on beat 1 and then variation on beat 4. But I think what's important is recognizing the underlying pattern that's happening here, which is like kind of a motif on the guitar and bass. And basically the way that I'm breaking it down and hearing it is I hear it as a group of 5 eighth notes, and then another group of 5 eighth notes, and then finishing out with a group of 6 eighth notes. So this is actually kind of a pretty progressive pattern, like 5 plus 5 plus 6, totaling 16 eighth notes or 2 measures of 4/4. Now this first example is just a very straight ahead quarter note on the ride, eighth note on the hi-hat with the left foot, and then the bass drum and snare drum are accenting and outlining this group of 5, 5, and 6, 5, 5, and 6. So what I have here is a kick drum on 1 and 2 of the first measure, and then the next grouping starts on the and of 3, and then a snare on the and of 4. In the second measure, we have a bass on beat 2, and then a snare drum on beat 3. So I'm going to demonstrate that at a couple different tempos, just to give you an idea of the outline of the overall feel of this part, and then we'll dive into the details. All right, so exercise 2 is a breakdown of this 5 eighth note pattern. So I wrote it out here in 5/8, and the counting over top is written as in an eighth note counting, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and. So you can think of the hi-hat basically playing the pulse, 5 eighth notes, and then we have this cool syncopation happening between the kick and the snare drum. So this pattern is basically a kick followed by 2 ghost notes on the snare and then another kick. The third beat is 2 snares. Beat 4 is a snare on the and beat 5 is a snare on the and. So I'm going to demonstrate this at 75% speed and then 80% speed because again, at full tempo, my left foot just can't keep up with those eighth notes. So here it is. Exercise 3 is similar to exercise 2, except now it's just a measure of 6/8. So we're basically just adding 1/8 note to the end of this, which is again another hi-hat and then a snare. So I'll demonstrate that again at the same 2 tempos. Here we go. Exercise 4 puts these two groupings into context. So what you see here is the 5 plus 5 plus 6 input into measures of 4/4. So this gives us two measures. The hi-hat again is playing eighth notes. The ride cymbal now plays a quarter note. And this is what starts to give it that really funky feel that we hear in the tune. I'm going to demonstrate this at 112 beats per minute, which is about 75% speed. And then I'm going to demonstrate it at 135, which is about the fastest that I can play the eighth note on the hi-hat while keeping the syncopation between the kick and the snare. Here we go. So those are some exercises that I recommend trying out to get this up to tempo. To be honest though, I didn't really use these exercises to learn it. I just practiced the full transcription at really, really, really slow and just gradually sped it up. I wanted to give you those exercises just because it's helpful to break things down and try different sort of like micro parts of grooves like this, just so you can get kind of the full understanding of what's going on. I do want to dive into the full transcription though and just look at a couple highlighted parts. I'm not going to play these and give the example because I want to kind of try to keep this lesson short-ish. But you know, my suggestion is go listen to Adam Deitch play it and follow along with the transcription that I wrote out. And you can, if you watch it on YouTube here, you can listen to it at half speed or 75% or full speed. Okay, let's dive in and take a look. Pardon me if I keep looking down at my computer, but I just want to talk about these sections correctly. He starts it off with a really cool little drum fill. This is sort of a basic 16th note thing. The second measure of the groove, you get an open hi-hat, like smack on the of beat 3. That's pretty cool. The third measure of the pattern, which in the transcription is labeled as measure 4, but it's like the third measure of the groove. If you slow it down, I am hearing those kick drums with a swung feel, and I don't think that was necessarily intentional. I think it's just that he's playing so fast that they kind of came out swung versus the rest of the notes. But it is a cool thing to note about this groove. In the fourth measure, he does a 6-stroke roll to cap it off. Jumping down to measure 10, this is where he hits his like China stacker thing on beat 2, and that kind of transitions us into hitting the bell of the ride instead of the body of the ride. So pretty cool little tidbit there. Okay, coming down to measure 12, he plays, he finishes this measure out. There's a little double stroke buzz thing on the snare, and then that carries over into the next measure, another buzz. Pretty cool, you know, Adam Deitch thing that I think you hear in a lot of tunes. But overall, you know, he's basically keeping the same groove, just with some variations. I think the hardest thing about this is obviously the tempo. Well, maybe not obviously, but to me it's obvious. The tempo is extremely fast to do all of this coordination. Again, I'm still working on this groove. I don't have it fully up to tempo. It's pretty impressive to me that Adam Deitch played this pattern when he was like in his early 20s. The guy is just an incredible, incredible drummer. Not only at this quick funk stuff, but he's also got a lot of cool like down-tempo hip-hop, down-tempo electronic, just all over the spectrum. Absolutely phenomenal drummer. Definitely one of my favorites and one of my inspirations as far as modern drummers are concerned. Thanks for checking out this lesson. Like I said, I just wanted to get it out there, put it out there for you guys to practice. My invitation is if you practice this groove and can play it better than me, that's totally awesome. What I would suggest is doing the social media thing and tagging yourself playing it on Instagram. You can tag me at Matt Price Drumming. So throw it up in your story. Let me see how it's going for you. Again, the transcription for this is available at my website, mattpricedrumming.com/songs and stuff. Link in the description below. So I hope you got something out of it. Thanks again for watching. I got a bunch of other lessons, so feel free to subscribe, hit that notification. Thanks for watching. Peace out, everybody.